Hello, Brad and fellow classmates. This is the ICOM 375 post midterm presentation, and I'll be talking about the interactive story titled Strange Arrangements at Camp Bloomfield. My name is Sterling Powell, and I'm responsible for the brief introduction to the project, group slash story. Uh, Dylan Austin and Abby will also be giving their presentations later in the presentation. So the group consists of four members: me, Austin, Abby, Dylan. Abby was kind of like the overseer of the group. She made sure that everyone had their tasks. She was always the one sending emails saying, "Hey, you guys, we need this, this, and that," or "How about we do this and come up with this plan later." Austin was kind of like the hands-on video guy when we did all of the editing, and he did all the editing, and whenever we needed video equipment or needed something recorded, Austin was the person to go to. Dylan was the kind of site person, and he managed the sites and make sure that we always had things flowing and everything worked accordingly. Make sure that the links worked. He also was the person who kind of organized where everything was going, things of that nature. Me, I was more of played a minuscule role, sadly. I was just the person who did all the annoying tasks like the live event or just the little things that are not really behind the scenes, but if something needed to get done that wasn't being done, I was just that person because they took all the bigger tasks, and for that I thank them. But those are kind of like the group breakdowns, I guess. As far as the project and the story, first the project, like I said, we use tons of media assets such as the audio, video. For the live event, we use flyers to post around campus. There were also some uses of extracurricular special effects, thanks to Austin. But other than that, those are some of the media events that we use. We also, during the live event, we also posted up YouTube. Not during the live event, during the project, we have the YouTube videos of all of our events on YouTube. So if you ever want to see those, you would go to the YouTube site, and that's also a way to get into the story, which leads into the story. Strange Arrangements at Camp Bloomfield is an interactive story, like I said, and it deals with four friends. Denny, who is somewhat the main character, the hero of the story. You have Jacob, who's his best friend, who kind of plays a sidekick. You have Kathleen, who is the damsel in distress, and Emily, who's another character alongside Denny and Jacob, who are trying to save Kathleen. Kathleen is abducted by Barrett and Tulo, who are members of Battery Solutions, and they kind of want to just destroy the environment. One of the main antagonists is the Swamp Man, and him and Denny have a little fight, if you want to say. Besides those characters, you also have Harold and Ira, who are sort of the side characters, and the gang of four meet them along the way, and later on they help the group find Kathleen. And then Denny ends up getting weird powers, and I don't want to spoil the story, you have to wait till later. But those are the main things for the story. Brief intro did that, project did that, story did that. So now it's onwards to the second part of the project, which is specific sections.
Now I'm going to give an overview of our user requirements, design alternatives, and prototypes and evaluations. So we knew that we wanted to do an interactive story instead of an alternate reality game because it takes less participation. Our story took place near a college campus and was meant for students around Ball State. And these students are often busy and don't put time into something that isn't important to them, so the interactive story was the best way to go. So to make this story, we split the storyline between 7 of the characters. The characters all told their portion of the story on their own blog websites. The rest of the elements that we came up with support an interactive environment on the web. And so our user requirements end up being videos, photographs, audio pieces, voicemail, and interactive maps. So design alternatives that we came up with, we ended up using the first one that we came up with because at first we wanted to make the environment very interactive, so we decided to split up all of the websites, and we hid important posts with password protection, and we wanted to keep the readers acting as detectives. But really, this disconnected the readers from the story, and they were unclear what they were supposed to do and got lost navigating the story. So we ended up using our first design alternative, which was to just have one portal to enter the story, and everything can be found in this portal, and they can go through the entire story by using this. Also, one of the design alternatives was to have the Friends blog be the newspaper archive, and we decided against this because the Friends were telling the story from their perspective and not the third-party observer. The newspapers really serve as just giving extra information for the readers in case something doesn't make sense. It just adds in the extra detail for the readers. Also, many of the design alternatives involved Twitter, and it was supposed to be a way for readers to communicate with each other. However, we really only ended up using Twitter as a way to enhance the existence of the characters, just to make them a little more believable, but that was as far as Twitter went in our story. Also, one of the design alternatives involved Denny and the friends finding more clues to show that it's a mystery story, but we decided to take this out and to make it less confusing. The friends are led to calling through a series of action videos, and this happens because it's easier for the readers to follow and to watch what's happening instead of trying to think about different clues that they're finding. And this is a list of prototypes that we actually used. We used all of these because they're simply media components and they worked well within the story and they didn't deter any navigation. All of the prototypes that we ended up not using all had to do with navigation and layout and usability. So the first one, like I said before, from the design alternative, we were splitting up the websites, and that really wasn't working because after our survey, we had pretty low scores on navigation and layout. And in order to fix the layout, we also made sure that all the websites had the same themes, and we added these logos to all the websites so there was a connection between the websites for the readers. Also, in our prototypes, we said that readers were going to be led to next posts through comments from the different characters, and this is really not a realistic way of leading any reader through any story. There was no call to action, and they were not sure what they were actually supposed to do. So many were lost, and instead we added these very nice buttons that readers can use, and they're very simple, and you will see those later when we go through the story. And the last one actually don't really have to do with navigation or layout, but we wanted to do the interactive maps, which didn't work out because we used the free WordPress sites, and they just didn't allow for the split files to go on them. So we used a different design alternative to make up for the loss of the interactive maps. And in many prototypes, the like one scene is supposed to be text, and we actually ended up turning it into a video, and sometimes videos were turned into text. So those were the changes that we made, and we'll go on through the rest of the presentation.
So in conclusion, I think that we could all agree that this project really helped us understand what it takes to work in a collaborative group environment to this scale. I don't think that any of us had worked in this exact type of situation before. So it was really eye-opening in a lot of ways, but I think one of the biggest things that we can take away is just that users really are able to provide the best feedback that we could ever really collect, because us being the creators and the designers, like we see it at the full scale and kind of know what's going on in the background, but to a user they have no idea, so they have a really objective viewpoint and can provide us feedback that will help us streamline the design and make it work really well. Another thing is just that the whole prototyping designs, just to sort of figure out what our time frame is going to be. I think time management and sort of the whole prototyping thing was definitely a big big issue point for us. Like not in a bad way, but just like we kind of ran into situations where we fell behind a little bit just because we didn't expect the the production time to take as long as it did. So definitely just time management and really taking the prototyping seriously because it gives you a really good idea of how long it's going to take for you to put everything together. Um, Another big takeaway is just working in that collaborative atmosphere. Like we all really had to be open to what one another, like the ideas that we had, um, and we had to be open to adjusting the design to fit some of those ideas. And I think that's just a big part of working in a team atmosphere, obviously, but it really takes sort of this type of experience, like actually working with three other people, I guess, and like trying to bring everything together and trying to keep it on schedule and trying to make sure that everything is working properly. You really have to be in constant contact with one another in order to see that through. Um, and I think that that kind of leads into the last point of just being flexible as an individual. You have to really be willing to let some of your ideas slide and allow your teammates to bring some good things to the table because everybody has great ideas, and especially in this group, like each one of us sort of brought a different aspect of design to the project. So like we had to be willing to listen to one another and work with one another so that we could sort of teach each other and learn from one another. So it was really an interesting experience, and I think that the biggest thing is just getting experience in working in a group environment. So I think that's pretty much it, and I hope you enjoy the project.